The Toronto Raptors suffered a brutal loss to the Boston Celtics in the regular season again. And this one wasn't quite a blowout for the Celtics. However, it was equally as frustrating for Raptors fans. Let's get into it. Welcome to Raptors Roundup, the segment on the channel where we round up the Raptors game from the night before on Amateur Sports, a channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in videos just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support to the channel as we look to hit 2100 very soon. We also do a lot of live streaming on the channel like the one we did last night, the watch along for the game against the Boston Celtics. Check out all the fantastic content that you missed out on by not being there. Steps back for three. Oh, Kyle Lowry. Big bucket for the big booty. Wow, that's some great content you missed out on by not being at the stream. Be there for the next one Tuesday. We will not be streaming Sunday, but be there Tuesday for the next watch along. Let's get into our Raptors roundups. What we're going to do for this video, we're going to give you a brief overview of the game. Then we're going to take you through a synopsis of proceedings, then give you 3 takeaways to move on with for the future. You should know how it goes at this point. But the Raptors come to this game another back-to-back where they have struggled so far this season in back-to-back situations where they're playing for the second night in a row. The Raptors are 0-3 coming into this one against the Celtics. And the Celtics, who are a great team, and the Raptors seemingly always struggle against them in the regular season, and also coming off that bitter playoff loss last season. The Raptors, I didn't have fantastic hopes for this one, but I was still hopeful for Raptors win because they are playing fantastic basketball. After starting 2-8 in the next 15 games, they went 10-5, and a win against the Celtics would make them 500. So let's get into our synopsis. So in the first quarter, the Raptors have over the last couple of weeks been great at starting off games hot. They come out flying in the first quarter, but that is exactly what did not happen against the Celtics. The Raptors were awful, just awful to start off this game, and the Celtics came out hot, knocking down shots. Ojeleye put up a quick 8 points for the Celtics, and oh my goodness, it pains me to say how much torment we suffered from Ojeleye last night. That should not have happened, but it did, and the Celtics pull out to a huge advantage in this first quarter, early in the game, but a lead that they sustained for the rest of the game. I don't think the Raptors ever led or were tied up in this one. The Celtics, maybe we were getting close, but for the duration of this game, the Celtics had complete control and kept us at bay for most of it. Lowry was fantastic for the Raptors early on, knocking down shots at will when other people were not contributing. Lowry really kept us involved in this game, but again, Ojeleye was hitting everything from 3, and so was Payton Pritchard. 2 guys you wouldn't really expect as much as guys like Tatum and Brown, who we seemingly locked up to a degree. They didn't have the nights that they were expected to have, especially Jaylen Brown, but with other guys contributing and Kemba Walker snapping out of his funk since that injury, the Celtics were all over us in the first quarter. Near the end of the first, though, we started to chip away a little bit, and it was a manageable distance. It wasn't a blowout by any means, but it was a manageable distance at the end of the first quarter. The Raptors were well in this game heading into the second. And in that second quarter, the Toronto Raptors did not learn their lesson about shooters. They continued to dare Ojeleye and Payton Pritchard to hit those 3-pointers, which they were knocking down at an unholy clip, and the Raptors didn't adjust, they didn't close out, and Boston continued to knock down 3-pointers at will, just continuing to keep us at bay. Even though our offense, at this point in the game, our offense was flowing. Siakam was playing well, Powell was starting to come into the game, and Lowry was playing fantastic. As I was mentioning, Boucher got into a bit of foul trouble, but was still contributing a little bit to the offense when he was on the court. Fred VanVleet was really struggling, but the Raptors were still well in this game. They just could never quite get into a tie game or take the lead because Boston kept knocking down their threes. As the Celtics stretched their advantage, the Raptors, with a little bit of time left in the second quarter, really went on a run and made it a 3-point game off the back of a disgusting step-back 3 from Kyle Lowry on Daniel Tice. It was a 3-point game, and then about a minute, maybe even less later, the Celtics were back up by 10 because of leaving shooters open. Yet again, the Raptors dared Ojeleye and Payton Pritchard to shoot basically all game, and, well, they kept knocking down the shots. The Raptors continued to not adjust. Fred VanVleet only had 2 points in the first half. The Raptors were behind by 10 at halftime, but not an impossible advantage to overcome. It was only 66-56 with 24 minutes to play. And the Raptors really struggle in third quarters, and that is exactly what continued in this game. The Celtics came out of the gate hot again. The Raptors turned over the ball a few times on possessions that just started off the third quarter. The Celtics continue to knock down threes. The Raptors continue to not adjust to the fact that Ojeleye and Pritchard were hitting all their shots, and Kemba, even himself, was hitting some shots as well, which was pretty ridiculous for a guy who came into this game in his last 5 games having shot 27% from the field. Like, the Celtics literally could not miss, and that was pretty much the separation from this game. The Celtics could not miss from 3. There was 3 plays in a row. Ojeleye was left open in the corner. Then Peyton Pritchard was open in the corner on transition, both knocking down shots. And then Kemba Walker, late in the shot clock, with a big contest from Kyle Lowry, throws up an absolute prayer and banks it in. The Celtics just simply could not miss. At this point in the game, they were shooting 16 for 24 from 3. And what do you do as a Raptors fan watching this game? Watching the Celtics shoot 67% from 3, 16 for 24. Midway through the third quarter, the Raptors scoring just simply couldn't keep up, and the Celtics having shot so well from 3, the Raptors were the polar opposite. They were not knocking down any of their threes. They got a ton of points in the paint, which was good to see, but the 3-point shooting was horrendous for the Raptors. They just couldn't keep up with the offensive output by the Celtics at this point in the game. And then both teams go on an absolute cold stretch. The Raptors defense starts locking up the Celtics. The Celtics miss 9 shots in a row, but so do the Raptors. The Raptors also missed 9 shots in a row. So when it was a 9-point game, 86-87, both teams missed 9 in a row. The perfect opportunity to the Raptors to have gotten back in this game in the third quarter, but they failed to seize that opportunity, and Celtics continued to hit shots. But it was late on in the third quarter where Raptors really went on a bit of a run and made it an 8-point game. So the key to this third quarter was the Raptors to go into the fourth quarter with only a single-digit deficit, and they did that. They chipped away near the end, and it's 88-80 with 12 minutes of basketball to play. Not impossible. It'd favor the Celtics, but the Raptors can certainly get back in it. And in this fourth quarter, the Raptors offense started off great, and we figured out our defense midway through that third quarter. So the Raptors defense is doing quite well. The Raptors offense puts together a little bit of a run, and they're well in this game. I think it would turn into a 5-point game, but the further we progressed into the fourth quarter, the worse our offense and our defense, for that matter, came apart. Like, our offense just completely imploded. There was so many gimmies that the Raptors missed. Aaron Baines had 2 easy looks, 2 bunnies under the rim that he missed. Then on the very next possession, could have used his size a little bit better to get a layup, but Daniel Tice blocked it. Then the next play, Pascal Siakam misses an open layup. Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet missed open threes. So many easy opportunities went begging midway through the fourth. The Celtics turned that into momentum for their offense. They pulled away in this one, ended up going to a sizable advantage. Garbage time was 3 minutes left to play. The Raptors chipped away a little bit to make it only a 14-point loss, but the Celtics took over the fourth quarter. I don't know if it was fatigue or what from the Raptors coming off a back-to-back, but the Celtics shot like crazy. They were absolutely lights out from 3 throughout the entire game. The Raptors fell apart in the fourth quarter. Like, they were right there. It was a 5-point game at, I think, 2 points in the fourth quarter, but they just could never ever get it closer than 3 points throughout the entire game after the Celtics' great start in the first quarter. The Celtics seemingly always have our number. I mean, the refs were bad in the fourth quarter, but the Raptors were so much worse, and it's the complete fault of the Raptors for losing this one. They were well in this game, but they did not shoot well from 3. The Celtics were midway through the third, they were 16 for 24, ended up shooting over 50% from 3 in the game. And the Raptors fall, and they fall to 12 and 14, but they have been great since starting 2-8. They will bounce back. Hopefully that bounce back happens Sunday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Raptors did a good job of keeping Tatum and Brown at bay, but it was other guys contributing to the game that really was the downfall of the Raptors, and they failed to adjust. It took them 2.5 quarters to figure out how Ojeleye and Pritchard were playing. I mean, I would have figured it out at the end of the first quarter, not to leave those guys open, but the Raptors continued to dare them, and they continued to hit their shots. So really all it was here was fatigue from a back-to-back, the Celtics shooting crazily well, and the Raptors not shooting well at all. We move, we bounce back. So let's get into our 3 takeaways of the game now. First key takeaway is that the Raptors need to figure out how to play in back-to-backs. They are 0-4 this season when they play on back-to-back nights. You got to figure it out. That's part of the schedule. I get that the Celtics were more rested, but you can't lose every game in back-to-back situations. That's life. You got to play in back-to-back situations. And at the end of the day, you got to have the effort. You got to find the desire to go out there and run that extra mile on the court to help get your team to win. And it's just painful to see them always and expecting to lose after these back-to-back games. Second key takeaway is our center woes. Aaron Baines was completely outmatched in this game. The Celtics were completely dominating the offensive glass, and Baines just his layups, the gimmies that he's got to knock down as a center with his size. You simply have to knock down the type of shots that he was getting. And, sure, he had a couple of good buckets, but a lot of points went begging at the rim for Aaron Baines. I don't know. My patience is really growing thin with his offense. I don't mind him as a backup, but I think the Raptors need to go out and get somebody cheap like a JaVale McGee or Hassan Whiteside to really solidify our presence in the paint, because Chris Boucher, he was outsized in a lot of endeavors in this game. Third key takeaway is Fred VanVleet is wildly inconsistent. I need him to be a little bit more consistent with his game. He is in the top 10 of all-star voting for Eastern guards, and coming off that 54-point game, had a couple of bad games, then had a really good game, and then here's another bad game as well. Needs to find that consistency to find out what we can really expect from Fred VanVleet on any given night. And we saw the inconsistencies of his game with only 2 points at halftime in the game last night against the Celtics. Do you guys agree with what I said? Do you disagree with what I said? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this game in the comments down below. But that wraps it up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. We also do watch-alongs like the one we did last night, and we will be off on Sunday for watch-alongs. We'll have a video tomorrow, and then we'll be back to normal content on Tuesday, so stay tuned for all the videos. We'll have a video about Andre Drummond coming tomorrow. But at the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.